Ralph and Suzanne, if we could show that chart again. I'm normally not a big guy on charts, but this explains the problem succinctly. In other words, what we make collectively as a country is being dwarfed by our debt. 300% our bills are running up. Our collective debt is running up. And the means by which we pay for it isn't even remotely keeping pace. Unsustainable. To one of the few guys who saw this long before people appreciated the magnitude of the problem, former Senator Tom Coburn. His first interview, I know he's been going through cancer treatment, so I want to get right to that. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Neil. Doing great.
So the doctor
have great doctors and got a great prognosis, and I'm out there beating the bushes.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that, so kudos to you. And maybe a warning sign to your critics who said you were making a big deal about this. You're still on the warpath. Now we get a lot of folks bragging, Senator, about, hey, we're on our way home here. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think you have to look at what the government consumes of what we produce. And if you take federal government, state, and local, we're 27, 28% of our GDP, which means 1 out of every $3 to $4 that we produce, government's consuming. Number two is the government isn't honest. They said last year we had a deficit of $480-some billion, but our liabilities increased by $6.2 trillion. So that there's no generally accepted accounting principles used by the federal government. Plus,
by the way, Senator, I want to clarify. You just said something that people miss. Our unfunded liabilities dwarf whatever official statistics we're being told is baked into our debt. But we have this debt we're running up against now. The idea is just extend it, raise the credit line, and that will get us through this near-term crisis. What do you think of that?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't vote to increase the debt because you're fixing the symptoms and not the problems. And the problems are, and we showed through the GAO, the Congressional Research Service, and the IGs, there's every bit of $400 billion worth of stupidity, duplication, waste, and fraud in the government programs that are running right now. And nobody would, one of the reasons I left the Senate is nobody would help fix that. Nobody wanted to address that.
They're still not doing it, Senator. And even those who even try to tinker with it, Paul Ryan gets crucified just trying to slow the growth, let's say, in Medicare. So where is the will to change this in either party?
It's not there, and that's why the solution, our founders gave us a great solution, Neil. They gave us what's called an Article 5 Convention of the States, where if 34 states come together and say, hey, you know, the federal government didn't create the states created the federal government, and by the way, you're spending our future of our kids and our present-day income, and we think it ought to change. And here's the things you have to do to change it. And there's 3 specific things you can do. You can put term limits on members of Congress. You can force a balanced budget amendment with generally accepted accounting principle. Why hadn't that happened? Why hasn't that passed the Senate or the House? It's because they're not working on the real problems. They're treating symptoms. And then you limit the scope and jurisdiction of the federal government and bring that power back to the states. And we can do that as citizens. But isn't that Republicans' job? That's
been their mantra, and that's been supposedly in their DNA, and thrust behind their recent electoral victories that gave them the House and the Senate. You can understand why there's been this battle for the leadership and the soul of the party. Shouldn't the soul of the party be like arithmetic, getting back to money in and money out?
Well, it ought to be arithmetic, but from a compassion sense is, you know, what we're doing is wasting money that we shouldn't. We're wasting money, spending money we don't have on things we don't need, and not investing what the limited area of the federal government should be. There's $100 billion worth of waste in the Pentagon. Now, a lot of people will dispute that, but I can show it. So why wouldn't we ask to get better value out of the $100 billion that's not being spent wisely now rather than increase it? But what we do is we don't force change. We don't force change through the bureaucracies, and Congress has given away its ability to control those things because they've handed it over to the executive branch. So we don't have a problem in front of us that we can't fix. What we lack is the leadership to do it. And the way we're going to get the leadership is the states and the people are going to demand a convention of the states where we limit their power and we return the power to us, and we say you will balance the budget.
Very well.
You will make hard choices.
Very well said. But the urgency has got to be relayed here. And the reminder what it's going to mean for future generations, to your point, Senator, has to be relayed. Well, I'm very happy to hear that you are better, you're feeling better, you survived a scary blow there, but I'm very happy to hear.
Can I make one last point?
Real quick, I'm sorry.
$142 trillion is what our unfunded liabilities are right now. Incredible. That's $1 million per taxpayer.
Incredible. Just incredible. Senator, thank you very, very much. I know what a lot of you at home are saying, you know, you're looking at this, everyone calm down. We've gotten through this. We've got to raise the debt. But it's the 80-some-odd times that we've done this, folks, that makes us a mockery to the world. It's not the latest brink we're up against, the fact we keep doing this. So we sort of rob Peter to pay Paul to get through it. And the fact of the matter is, you can't play those games very long. And yet we have debates in both parties where no one even comes up with, well, how are you going to pay for this? I am telling you, the FBN debate, that's going to come up.